Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Borderlands Remastered video. At long last, it has finally happened. I got the Ajax Ogre to drop here for my Brick character. Now, for those who don't know, the Ogre is one of the best legendaries in the original Borderlands, often considered to be the best legendary in the original Borderlands by a lot of people, but it's especially good for Brick because he has an affinity for explosive damage. Now, the Ogre itself is already a pretty good weapon, right? What makes the Ogre unique is its accessory, which takes its explosive damage and its bullet damage and makes it better than pretty much every other explosive rifle. Well, for some reason, and what makes this so interesting, is the Ogre accessory has a very low chance of spawning on the Ajax Spear, which is an epic weapon that drops off the boss Ajax here in the General Knox DLC. When that happens, it's still called the Ogre, but the entire community refers to it as the Ajax Ogre, and the Ajax Ogre is much better than like a regular Ogre or pretty much most other weapons in Borderlands 1, as was Borderlands Remastered. The downside to this weapon would be the fact that it's incredibly difficult to farm. Not only does it have a super low spawn chance, like the Ajax Spear drops almost every time off of Ajax, but the chances of that spear having the Ogre accessory is incredibly low. Like, it's going to take you many attempts, and as you guys can see, to farm this weapon, it's going to take you a long time. It takes me, on average, about 4 minutes just to get to Ajax. Like, in the General Knox DLC and in Borderlands 1 in general, there weren't really a ton of great and convenient fast travel locations, so if you want to actually get to Ajax, you have to start off in T-Bone Junction, and then drive, and drive, and drive, and then run, and then drive, and drive, and it takes about 4 minutes time to even get to the boss, and once you're there, he has a super low chance of actually dropping the weapon with the accessory on it, which makes this one of the most rare weapons in the original Borderlands / Borderlands Remastered. If you're wondering, I lost count of how many attempts it took me to get this weapon, but I'm going to tell you it took me about, give or take, 3 or 4 hours, somewhere in there, right? And I know this because I was listening to podcasts the entire way through. I wasn't even recording because I knew how low the drop rate was. Basically, in my downtime, I would just play the game, listen to a podcast, and just go and farm this weapon over and over and over. And because I know how long the podcasts are, it took me about 3 or 4 hours, give or take, to actually get this weapon to drop. And sadly, the Ajax Ogre that I got was actually a pretty bad one. So, as you guys can see, mine is for a lower level, therefore the damage and everything else is going to be a little bit lower than what it otherwise could have been. Going off of Google here, I looked up a bunch of other people's Ajax Ogres, and a lot of them were better than mine. Whether we're talking about damage, or fire rate, or magazine capacity, there's a very small chance that the Ajax Ogre will spawn with an optical sight, but mine did not, of course, so mine is pretty much inferior in most ways to a bunch of other Ajax Ogres out there, which is super unfortunate, because again, it took me 3 to 4 hours to actually farm this thing, and who knows if I'm going to farm it again, and if I do farm it again, who knows if I'm actually going to get a better one, or maybe even a worse one than what I have currently, but still, it's an incredibly good legendary weapon here in Borderlands Remastered, and I highly recommend trying for it if you're somebody who's playing as Brick, or maybe as Roland, or just somebody who is enthusiastic about explosive damage or assault rifles here in this game, because again, it's a really good rifle, but it's incredibly hard to get, and it takes a very long time because, again, that drop rate is really low and it takes you about 4 minutes, give or take, to just even get to the boss in the first place. But again, if you're playing as Brick like I am here, the Ajax fight involves a lot of Devastators. That's also kind of cool because you can kill the Devastators because they have a chance to drop the Ogre class mod, which, believe it or not, the Ogre class mod has nothing to do with the Ogre legendary assault rifle. The Ogre class mod is more for shotguns, and if you guys don't know, Brick is incredibly good with shotguns. Running as an Ogre Brick is a very good way to play the game, so you can farm basically 2 things in one if you're playing as Brick, and maybe if you're playing as Roland, you would also maybe want to get the Ajax Ogre, but if you're not really into rifles, or explosive rifles especially, maybe don't farm this weapon because it takes a very long time, but still, it's one of the most rare weapons in the game, so there's also a bit of prestige that comes with actually owning it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you guys here in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop me a rating, and thank you to everybody everybody that was in the chat of my live streams. I remember talking to you guys about how I was going to play Brick in Borderlands Remastered because I never played him in the original game, and you guys said Blastmaster Brick is a very fun way to play the game, and you guys also told me about the Ajax Ogre and how rare it is and how it spawns and the goofy accessory mechanic and all of that. So thank you guys so much, because if it wasn't for you guys, I probably would have never started farming this weapon and this video wouldn't be possible. So thank you guys very much. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop me a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.